You're trying to make Creel sad.
Alright, server rehosted.
Can't be
Alright.
sad if it's dead.
Alright, so folks stare at ominously or reminisce, thinking about other times you've been on a boat. And time passes.
We'll actually like to ask the Death Speaker something.
Alright, the Death Speaker is
That
certainly...
sheep's comment just made me. He'll discreetly ask the Death Speaker, sort of. He's a little embarrassed to ask this, so he'll start to do a low tone, but ask if the Death Speaker ever knows about a living dungeon coming back as a ghost.
The Death Speaker looks down at Dwohurim.
And a thing that could happen. That sounds very unpleasant.
Through his mask, and through the mask he says, "No, I've never heard of that before, Dwohurim."
Do you think it could happen?
No, I don't think so. I don't think living dungeons are quite the same in that regard.
I hope so.
I don't really understand them, but I've never heard of one that came back from the dead.
I didn't expect the last thing I killed that came back after me. This one seems like it would be go much worse.
Living dungeons, from my understanding, come from far deep underground, and their bizarre purpose is one that escapes me. All I know is that some have, well, they all have their own motivations, and the ones that make it to the surface try to act upon their motivations, whatever they might be. Some travel and rove the land at far greater speeds than what this Creel does, but I don't know of any of those threatening any major population centers, like this Creel is.
You don't think it could be reasoned with?
Death Speaker shrugs. I don't know. What I do know is that the last time I went there with you, a mercenary group set the ship on fire, and we currently have their ship.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Not for the sailors who... And then, he, looks around and stops talking.
Grim just sort of nods slowly. Says, I suppose you will keep these... They seem... Yeah.
Death Speaker replies with a, yeah.
So just nods. Sorry. I just wanted to... Doesn't hurt to know.
Sure.
So, go back to standing near the aft mast.
Looking and grumbling ominously. If there is nothing else, you can certainly retire to your beds for the second night, as the boat is not moving very quickly. Once again, sleep will be gentle. There's not that much in the way of rocking waves. However, as you are all resting, for the transition into from the second night into the third morning, there will certainly be a series of screams and shouts coming from the top of the deck, and a lot of noise and clamor as alarms are being yelled and the captain's voice is booming for everyone to get up and move to the top of the deck. Now, nominally, you guys can't be given orders since he's just a mercenary captain, and this is your fucking ship. It's up to you. You guys actually
Shut up! I want to continue.
You won't just sort of basically sleep on. He'll get his shit and get on deck with quite a measure of speed.
I'm guessing I haven't slept in my armor.
If your character sleeps in his full plate armor, we have a lot of problems to discuss about it.
Yep.
He hasn't been an adventurer for that long.
It's only been 2 years or something.
Oh god.
Eventually.
Yes, but whether your characters will either rest in your cabins to say "fuck that guy, he's just a merc," or make your way up to the make your way up to the top deck.
Defo top deck.
There will certainly be a site leading at the, or rather, sort of on display here at the top of the ship is a rather gruesome and grisly sight. The mercenary captain is staggered, half covered in blood, presumably from knife wounds. The culprit appears to have been another person on board the ship who was wielding that knife. He is now dead and slumped in the angry mercenary captain's hands. The rest of the crew, those who of course had night watch, and then those who were sleeping, sort of like grumble and growls as they like get up onto deck, but then sort of stop as they see their captain in their current situation.
Does he seem to be in imminent danger of like bleeding out, or
He does not. No, he does appear to have been wounded, rather viciously, and the man sneers and says, "I knew our replacement cook was a terrible idea. This little snit got separated from us in Dragonhall, and the kobolds took him away on his own. I did not think of it more at the time, but he must have been paid off in some fashion. Made an attempt on me." Sure enough, should you bother to look down, it certainly does look like the cook, for he was the cook of this crew, does very much have a knife. Bloody knife that's sort of like gripped in mortis.
why would he do such a thing? Do you have many enemies in Dragonhall?
No, but I assume that my employer, the Archmage, does. The sailors, who have already been disquieted to begin with, just sort of like rustle and murmur even more. We accepted this job to sail your vessel to Dragonhall and back. I can only assume that this was a part of some sort of thing to get at you. I'm the one steering this ship. I could have taken it anywhere.
Can someone bandage this man?
I think, first off, Tempus will probably want to investigate the cook. I mean, just a dead person on deck, let's see if there's any paperwork, signs, tattoos, grants, things like that.
Where does the mercenary captain seem to have been stabbed? Like from the back, or?
It looks, well, you should Tempus, I'll need a fucking noise outside skill check. I'll need a look at the cook man for perhaps signs that Tempus might recognize skill check, and that would be an intelligence skill check plus whatever background you think might help you recognize signs pertinent to that background. For Dwohurim, I would like a sort of like healing sort of skill check to recognize the wounds and damage that have been done to the captain.
Could I at this point argue that my shaping during these recent months, if not like last years, where I began using it to actually heal people and work with the restoration of skin and flesh and bone and such, be relevant?
I'd say half of that background, sure. It's not what your character has been immediately trained in.
Rounded down, I assume?
Yes, rounded down.
Okay. With what attribute? Intelligence, or?
I could say intelligence could work in that situation. You can use intelligence modifier for that.
Alright.
Getting close to the captain, because that's what it would take. It appears that, the captain's tale will end up sharing this. The captain had his back turned to his door, and he was just settling down in the bed when he heard a squeak on the floorboards. He turned at the last second, and the knife that the cook was wielding that was going to go into his back went into his shoulder instead, and just sort of raked along that.
How did he get up to the deck then? Like, does it look like he carried the guy here, or?
It does appear that it looks like he carried the guy, yes.
Does the cook seem to have been like broken his neck, or?
It seems that he was the victim of perhaps being stabbed by his own knife. The wound appears to be right beneath his chin, and the captain is not wielding a blade of his own.
All right.
So I'd imagine that Aurelia has seen this kind of scenes before, probably out of a first person and with less witnesses. But could she perhaps look at the situation and see if his story is really that reasonable as he's trying to make it out to be?
Gryph, go ahead and make your skill check that you were going to use to try and, discern whether there's any sort of markings.
Okay, oh, right. Okay, I just needed to double check something, because I saw people starting to roll 6s, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm sure we're all level 5. Why are people rolling 6s? I'm getting a bit confused.
We are level 5, yes.
Yeah,
However,
okay.
some individuals with their incremental advance may have taken +1 to their skill check.
First one I got.
Yep.
Last one I got.
Right? So I do not think I have any background that allows me to detective a corpse to figure out any items he has on him.
Okay.
I mean, unless I am deciding to try and steal something, I know little secret pockets to like maybe raid through. Like, and a bit of knowledge, if I'm pickpocketing someone, I can maybe slide a watch out, so I kind of have an idea of where he might stash, a bit of papers, but that's a long shot.
Alright, sure.
That would be the trickster of the die, if that's suitable.
Yeah, sure. You can roll that. Like, you can try to argue in background, and I'll see whether it applies for a particular situation. Depends on what you roll, and that'll determine what you might find. So go ahead and roll that.
Alright.
Tempus will find the obvious, which is a little tiny scrap of, like, parchment with some, like, small, like, draconic written on it. Appears to be some sort of code. Tempus has no fucking
Tempest will just, he'll look at it, probably think it's kobold of some sort, or maybe sneeze at a page.
Yes. As for, like, what, like, you said, Sheep, like, trying to, like, interpret whether the situation is I don't know. Do you think the situation is plausible?
You could try reading him if you want to.
I think it's just too easy that the captain has defended of this paid assassin, and his whole story is working out to the point where, well, there's no danger anymore.
Okay, you can roll that secretly with a wisdom-based skill check as you attempt to read this individual.
Okay. Do I get my background?
Sure.
+5 plus wisdom.
Seems perfectly plausible to you. There's certainly been plenty of times where an assassin, even one who may have been trained as yourself, has maybe bumbled into a floorboard or made a mistake that alerted the victim at the last second. And then the assassin was ill-prepared to deal with the consequences of them being discovered. Like, I got this plan perfect. Oh, shit.
Simply having a job to kill someone doesn't make you an assassin. That takes training.
Yes, as proven by Domino. And it's entirely plausible. Just looking at the mercenary captain, it looks like he's got his fair number of scars, so he's perhaps not new to the concept of battle. Maybe Lord Teraptus did not hire a bunch of scrubs for you guys.
We'll ask if there's anyone else who was hired in Dragon Hall.
Baldric blinks and says, No, he wasn't hired in, and he'll, like, throw the body to, like, the top deck. We didn't hire him in Dragon Hall. He was with us whenever we traveled to Dragon Hall.
Oh, okay. But anyone else you don't know, then, I suppose.
Like,
sail with this crew a
like,
lot.
all of, like, the sailors look amongst themselves, and they'll start, like, mumbling, and, the mercenary captain says, No, he was the newest one of the lot. It was actually a replacement. We had to pick up a cook on short notice. Our last one was ill, and so we brought him.
Alright. Do you just think it's strange that he wouldn't try to, like, poison the food if he was really intent on hurting people?
Well, Tempus didn't find any poison on the guy.
Right, but it seems like...
Aurelia would go check the food anyways.
I mean...
See the vials.
Alright, you can use, Sheep, your intelligence or wisdom modifier, along with your poisonous background.
Let's use wisdom, because clearly it's a good thing to be wise when dealing with poisons.
It's like instinct.
Yeah, and my level.
Smells like poison.
Yes. The simple food and water that you have aboard the vessel does not appear to have been poisoned. But Aurelia would know that poison can be odorless and tasteless.
Well, back to self-made fish food it is.
Just
Did the cook have somewhere like it's like a little chest, like near his bed, like a sleeping, like sleeping area?
Well,
Look for
sure. The The ship would have had enough room for this small crew to each have their own rooms.
Yeah, so like check through his stuff, make sure there's nothing in there that's, seems reasonable, something just happened.
Sure, you can make a checking through the cook's room skill check, basically like a search skill check.
I mean, do you want that to be
Wisdom
like...
modifier.
Okay.
I want to hear this argument. That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm looking at my background. It's like, do I have any like searching through rooms?
I'm as an investigative detective at the second circle.
I mean, I'm not really used to searching ship quarters. That's not really a thing I'm used to.
At some point, I should
Quarters
just
of any
take the further backgrounding and get an adventurer background,
Yeah.
which applies to everything ever.
Yes, the game offers punishment if someone attempts to choose a vague background.
Yeah.
Looks like he has his cooking utensils. Looks like he has like a bit of spare clothing, some cutlery. Doesn't look like he had much to his name though. A few, like a handful of like copper pieces, which basically replenishes your funding for things that you use to buy things like cutlery.
Seems strange.
Geráck will ask.
Hume
the Deaf
frowns slightly.
Geráck will ask the deaf speaker if what he says is actually true, because the deaf speaker was there when they went ashore and all that.
Deaf speaker can say, yes, I can confirm that. While I was being separated as well by the kobolds because they saw some of my talents, these other sailors, you could ask them yourselves, they were all isolated from that Jason guy. They took him off on his own.
Alright.
Sort of frowns very deeply but doesn't say anything. He seems like he had a very disturbing thought and is trying to just dismiss it.
All these sailors are still sort of like nervously like squirming and moving like to and fro. They're like looking at the captain who's like standing over this body. He is wounded. And the mercenary captain will look towards Dwohurim since he's the closest by and says, I can't really give orders above this vessel. This is your ship. If I'm to be put in trial, then if you wish to sequester me, then so be it.
Well, says, I think for now we'll continue on our course. You should get patched up.
He'll look over at... As it turns out, it actually is Liam the carpenter who's the one who handles carpentry on bodies too, with no anesthetic. Although thankfully Baldric does not have too much of a problem, and Baldric and Liam will spend time together in the night. The sailors who were sleeping during the night, those sort of like uneasily shift back to their beds, and the guys who are still like up on the deck at night. That's just even more uncomfortable. What do you want to do with the body of the cook? It would be a suggestion from the death speaker that you chuck him overboard.
Yeah.
That was going to be Tempus's contribution as well.
Check him out first. Can we like...
Someone else can have a look. Tempus will be staring at a note, trying to figure out...
Whoever's
Then
just
pass it
really
to Aurelia.
creeped out right now. He'll sort of over and like look at the guy's head, sort of check that nothing's wrong with it.
Alright, you can make an analyze this man's...
Just like, is there like holes in it that shouldn't be there?
War scene, intellect devourer.
You can make an... Are there holes that... We'll use the same roll that you had for the last time to check out the captain. In that case, looks like the head's intact.
Where those fuckers can crawl out.
Except
ears
for
and
the
shit.
part where blood has gushed out from the stab wound, beneath the head.
Don't you think if he was a vengeful intellect devourer, this because that's the kind of fucking thing to do? Begin to murder the crew in a ship that can't go anywhere, man by man. Paranoia, witch trials, that sort of thing. Well, I suppose we'll need a night guard. Among us 5, I think.
Sure. I can take first watch.
Good.
chucking the body out into the water?
We'll take what stuff's on it and check for like if there's any like other things like a tattoo or something we might want to recognize or write down.
First off, Aurelia, this make any sense to you? And Tempus will pass over the piece of paper with the scribblings on it.
I'm pretty sure Aurelia can read Draconic. That is small little code phrases which roughly translate to "get the job done."
She will relay that information and sigh because it's absolutely useless to us.
That's like
Apart from
super
already
mega vague.
It is also super mega obvious. Why would he keep that on him when it says nothing useful? Why wouldn't he get rid of that? Why wouldn't he fear getting discovered
Yeah, he would
with
remember.
this kind of piece of paper?
Yeah.
Do you think it was planted there?
Might have been.
I do not know. However, it seems very foolish for him to have kept this particular paper.
Yeah, he probably,
I would imagine that
probably
a
wouldn't read
sailor.
Draconic either, though. So
I would also imagine that a sailor turned assassin by the promises of large pay would be paranoid on his first assignment.
well, how he didn't think about this? This doesn't seem coherent. There was no way he was going to get away with this. He had killed the captain. What then? Ship stuck in the fucking Midland Sea.
We would not know who did it, I suppose, but
The guy with blood all over him.
yeah.
Not like there's a huge.
It does seem a bit odd.
There was no way he was going to get away from us, at least. He was gonna die. He doesn't have any amount of pay on him that would do anything.
Aurelia would know with her analysis of the situation that if the assassination goes well, and say happens in the captain's quarters, dagger gets planted in man's back, maybe puts something over his mouth so he can't scream out, captain dies flailing uselessly, man really doesn't have that much blood on him, man walks away, no one knows about the death until morning.
And man is fucked, because, well, we're stuck, he's stuck.
It does seem like an odd time, but that might just be because he was not very skilled in the art of killing other people at the appropriate at the appropriate time. Perhaps he was simply trying to get the job done and didn't really think too much about the consequences.
We're putting too much into this. Is this something that happens when you travel the sea? I mean, it just seems like. It just seems really, really, really dumb. Like, either it's a much greater plan than we think, and we're falling for it, or it's a really, really bad plan.
Well, the Death Speaker confirmed that he was isolated from the rest of the crew, so...
Could have been like... I mean, could have been like change the appearance of a corpse and switch places with the captain or something like that.
Certainly
Doppelgangers,
could.
stuff like that. I know mental magic's not like a big thing, but like doppelgangers and stuff like that could be, I suppose.
Dwohurim, that's doppelgangers aren't a thing that exists in the Dragon Empire, at least as far as anyone as learned as Dwohurim would be aware.
Yeah. Just seems like it can't be this easy. Right? Like, our enemies would not do this, of all things.
Maybe it wasn't against us. Maybe they really had something out against the captain.
But it seems to be just a... I mean, I suppose we could be reactionary and see what happens next, but...
Not much else we can do.
We're stuck on a boat and we're rowing. We're kind of a static audience here.
We'll keep a night garden, I suppose. One of us... Does anyone know how to cook?
Tempus just can't help but laugh.
No.
I mean, I have done some... I've been explorer for some time. I've certainly made, like, campfire food and stuff like that, but...
Aurelia can make a really mean fish soup if you want.
All right.
Does
Sure.
Aurelia share her findings with the food that is contained aboard the ship that you folks will, of course, have gotten stocked effectively for free because it was, brought by the Death's Hand and kept aboard the ship? Like
Yeah, of course. They should already. She will definitely share the kind of tidbit of information that, poison, you might not necessarily taste it, and it could take a while to actually take into effect, so maybe you've eaten something already. But better not take any further chances and find something else to eat.
I mean, better not die from hunger, right?
There might be a fishing rod, and there's plenty of ocean.
He sort of just moves his hand to his brow and yeah, I'm sure you will make the crew feel a lot better if you don't eat any of the if we don't eat any of the food here. Sure, they'll feel great about that. Would your room look like the food for today? He'll like to eat a mouthful like bread or whatever.
Okay.
Drink a little bit of the water.
All right.
You can have a meal here to prove that it's not poisoned. And if it is, well, he's taking one for the team. Does he die? Good.
Yes.
Do you want him to die?
Not particularly, no.
Well, then, as it turns out, since he's not willing himself to die, he doesn't die at fucking 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I suppose strip the corpse and throw it in the water, yeah?
Yep.
I just hate for something mystical to happen with it.
The corpse has been chucked in the water. It already floated away. I even pantomimed it floating away. Acted out dragging the token and everything.
So I guess you all want to go back to sleep. I'll keep watch.
Sure. I'm gonna go back to sleep. I have the watchful eye of Geráck is upon it.
Yes.
Another fucking lawnmower. Jesus, it's fucking raining outside. Rain, snow, sleet, or hail, we gotta mow your fucking lawn.
I still have a best one. Is on the drive home from one of my mates, I saw a guy in the pouring rain watering his garden
Yes,
with a hose.
There's been some sprinkler action that happens here. With a hose, that's definitely different than an automated timer system.
Oh no, this was a guy
Watering
outside with the hose watering plants, and I actually had to stop my car and stare at him for a good 10 seconds. Much like what you do with me, Grimith. You gotta be fucking kidding me. That exact
Stop your
same
fucking
look.
car
And then you
Must
shot
have
him.
and drove on.
And told him
Nobody
that he
will
was
ever
being
know.
wasteful, because that's your line of work, Gryph.
Victimless crime.
Yes, you're wasting water. It's not as if it falls from the sky.
Right now.
Oh, yep, I'm done.
At any rate, you folks can go to rest, handle your watching however it is that you do. Perhaps with a little bit more paranoia in your hearts now, and in your eyes as Geráck watches for any possible threat. And you automatically succeed your watching for any possible threat skill check. None comes. Morning arrives on the third day. The day ends up passing slowly, as you aren't making that much distance either. However, as you're getting around to late morning, perhaps 11 a.m. or so, a disturbance does appear in the horizon, as it does seem to be that storm clouds to your south are gathering. The captain, who's been bandaged up by this point and is sort of slumped over the wheel, looks out to the south and says, "Oh, bother."
I hate sailing. It's the worst.
Yes. I'd rather be mining.
Yeah.
Mining is a very slow mode of transportation, however.
As the sailors, prepare the rigging and the ship to endure whatever storm might come your way, one of these sailors calls out, "Hold! There's some things to the south out there." And then a sailor looking out to the north says, "Hold! There's some things out there to the..." and, they use the proper nautical terms that I'm not going to use because we're landlubbers.
Ready?
It's probably like after shaft or something.
After shit.
What?
Starboard port, fore, aft, fucking aftershock. As,
Sounds almost like a German
they're
word.
sort of like hovering out of the sky, although not approaching quickly. In fact, they do end up coming to a stop. Appears to be a trio of air elementals who sort of coalesce and form, sort of like halfway between you and the storm. And it appears out there in the towards the north that rising from the pool of the Midland Sea, the turbulent churning waters, is a trio of water elementals.